Kia ora koutou. I'll try to make this as short as I can. I really want to take the opportunity to explain the changes that have happened with our distance learning program, and also just some of the thinking that went in behind some of these changes, because they are substantial and it's not going to make everyone happy, but we're trying to find a balance here to support the needs not just of our kids but also our teachers and our parents as well. Very tricky situation, but I'll get to it. Thank you to everyone who participated in the parent feedback. We had 53 families respond with 87 children. That represented just under a third of our student population. The initial questions asked around engagement, and as you can see from the scores there, across the board, slight increase in engagement with the increasing of interactions. But I do need to stress that the feedback was incredibly varied and wide. So we had a group of parents who want more online Zoom lessons, some people who want less and to keep the status quo. We wanted people that wanted us to set higher expectations for their children, and some people who didn't want that stress. We wanted the whole class Zooms because it keeps the kids engaged and they can talk to their friends, and some who didn't like that at all because their kids were shy and didn't want to participate and felt nervous through that. Some children found that work too hard, some found it too easy, and some people wanted more structure to their day so they could get on with their work, and some people liked the flexibility because that helped how their households worked. It is incredibly hard to find that balance that we can basically support everyone. It's impossible, but we've tried to develop a system that will give us a best fit across what we're trying to achieve. Not only that, I spoke to the principals of 15 other schools across Auckland. No two schools did it exactly the same. Everyone had varying degrees of success and engagement, but it did help me anyway get some direction and analysis on what other schools were doing, and basically taking from them what worked really well to see if we could put it into our program. And other considerations that we had to take into account as well, based on our professional understanding and neurological development, and I guess the values that sit in our community. What is best for children in their learning? The amount of time that actually we want our children sitting on screens, because I think like your children, my children have had a decade's worth of screen time over the last couple of months. So that very much a consideration, and also those connections and relationships with their teachers, which we know are important, and how we can make those work a bit better. So looking at the current reality, that's been the big shift in our thinking. When our previous program was around de-stressing the family, knowing that we in a few weeks' time would be back at school. But with elimination strategy now over, COVID becoming endemic, we are in a situation where we don't know what's going to happen now. We might not be back at school. We might be back at school. So we have to, I guess, be prepared that if cases increase, we might go in and out of lockdown. We don't know. So it has shifted the ball game a bit, and we've got to be responsive to that. We obviously have a vaccination goal of 90%, but we're still way away from that, particularly for double vaccinations. And obviously changes to level 3 mean that our kids can get outside and meet up with their friends now, which again changes the previous model, which was around having social Zoom and stuff like that, where kids can actually play with their friends now, which changes things. That return to school being really unknown is key for us. We only find out exactly at the same time as you when school's open. Schools will get 2 days to prepare to reopen, so there will be that as well. So if we find out, for example, on Labor Day, if we're opening up, Thursday would probably be the earliest we could open up. So those are the sort of things we're dealing with, and that we'll take them in our stride. So I guess the big question that the senior leadership team asked ourselves through this process was, so how can we provide what students and parents need, while actually looking at what are we able to do from our own homes with a computer? Very challenging, but here we go. So the updated program will involve 2 Zoom lessons per day. There will be an 8:31 for the juniors in the middle school, and at 9 o'clock for the seniors intermediate. This is obviously a big change. and it loses some of that flexibility that we used to have. It does allow us teachers to set kids up for the day, to do a lesson, to undertake some active teaching in that place. But I do need to stress that this will vary across ages and across classrooms and across, I guess, need of kids. So that means that, for example, the juniors, it might be a 20-minute phonics lesson, because that's all a 5-year-old can really sustain. Up to the intermediates, it might be a short 20-minute lesson for them, for example, but when they check in for their later Zoom session in the later morning, it might be a full hour and a half. Or it might be, for the senior school, it might be, again, a shorter lesson, but in the afternoons, it might not be teaching, but it might be office hours, where the kids can work one-on-one with the teacher in a private Zoom breakout space. It might be breakout spaces where the kids are given a task, working in a breakout space, the teacher will check up on them, and the teacher can then work across multiple groups. And what we're trying to do there is provide for those children who do get overwhelmed in the whole class situation, but would like to work in a group. So we're trying to cater for the different needs. As you can appreciate, a lot of learning goes into this and a lot of management. So the teachers have been practicing trying to get this working, but there will be challenges and learning that we as we work through this. So we do ask for patience and your support as we try this, because we think it's got great merit, but obviously everything's a learning curve through this pandemic. We want it to be changeable. We want to be responsive to the needs of kids, and that's why we've done that. The big thing for me is shifting to a more active approach to teaching. Videos are great in that giving teachers space. Kids can rewind and they can rewatch. Obviously, this won't allow that, and it also means you've got to be there, up, dressed, teeth brushed, had breakfast, sitting it in front of your computer at 8:30. So we do lose that flexibility, but what it does mean is that we can build in, before we get back to school, those positive routines again, that purpose to our day, which I think some of us, me in particular, I must admit, have dropped off over the last little while. So that's another, preparing to get back to school, setting our days up nicely. We're also only going to run those 4 days a week. So Monday through Thursday, we'll do those on a Friday morning, slightly different. There will still be a short check-in in the morning just to explain the learning, ask any final questions. Then it'll be largely independent activities. In the afternoons, though, at 1 o'clock, there will be a variety of other Zooms or videos as well. So Kate will run a junior art session once a week and a senior art session once a week. The assembly video will still be available on a Friday. Olive will run Te Reo Māori's for sessions for juniors and seniors, and we'll also have, we're trying to work out quite how to do this, but sort of a fun, engaging house competition and how we can run that as well. And Kirsten from Talking Tree Hill will run a wellness nature education one as well once a week as well. So we're giving those afternoons, they'll be 1 or 1:30 depending on the age group, across the week as well. Apart from Friday, which we want to make our screen-free Fridays. Obviously, there'll still be the morning session, but after that, this will give teachers time to make phone calls and connect with those students who cannot Zoom, whether it's because they don't have internet, because it's a personal preference from their parents, and might have learning hard packs. So those are the Fridays will allow teachers to connect with those kids who haven't been on Zoom. It also gives students a chance to finish their work, upload it to Google Classroom, or upload their work to Hero, and that way the teachers and their peers can give feedback, which is a really important part of learning as well. All our learning, particularly for those juniors and middles, will be on the website. We've created wahiki.school.nz/home learning, and that's where you can go and see the Zoom links and sort of one-stop shop. It's probably less prescribed in many ways than the previous system, where the independent activities might not be as deliberately chosen by teachers, and that's just because their energy that they were working on then is now focused on those Zoom lessons. Remember, there are packs available. Olive sent out an email earlier today to offer those to people, and I know she had an uptake on those. We can update those with more worksheets, primarily if the weeks go on. And we also will be giving out devices as well. So I'll send out another attached to this email that the video's in. If you do need a device because you don't have enough, please send those through to me, because I'll be able to get you, even if it's an iPad, something that they can watch Zoom and then still do their work perhaps on paper. So that's another option, hopefully to allow families the ability to work through those problems, because at the moment we've tried to break up with those Zooms, with the splitting of the classes at 8:30 with the juniors and middles, 9 o'clock with the seniors and intermediates, allows hopefully some sharing throughout the family. But like I said, we will provide devices for those people who need them. I do want to just say some final comments, though, that we want to be back at school. Teachers, this is not how we want to work, and it's not fun, to be perfectly honest. We want to be back at school. We want to be with the kids. That's where we do our best work. But we will try our very best to make this work. And I do want to reiterate, our teachers are working so hard and trying their absolute best. I think it's fair to say that how you're feeling, the stresses and the feelings that perhaps you're not doing a good job at work, you're not doing a good job as a parent, you're not doing a job as a partner. These are feelings that we are all feeling. I was talking to Michelle Hooper earlier today, and I said, for me, what it is I feel like I'm getting no wins. And in life, we need those wins to motivate us and keep us going. And it's been a long time between wins. And I think, I'm usually a positive person and like to solve problems and work through things. But that's a struggle that I'm having, and I'm sure many of you are as well. So please support us, because we're on your side too. We want the best for our kids. Your kids are our kids. That's how we talk about them. So we do want the best for them. We are trying our absolute best, and we're struggling just as much as you guys. But in saying that we want to work together, because we do want the very best outcomes, and we want to support families as well. I mentioned in the video at the end of last term with Michelle, the importance, if you can, of fitting in 15 minutes every now and again just to talk to your kids about their learning. Seriously, it is one of the most powerful and important things you can do to support your child's learning. Them being able to talk to you about their learning, you showing an interest and celebrating and giving them feedback, is immensely powerful. I think the statistics is one-on-one time that your child gets at school a day is around 3 minutes. Very short. So you giving them 15 is huge. I know we're very busy, and I know it's hard to fit everything in, but honestly, that short bit of time will make the world of difference to them. So I encourage you to try and fit that in, because it is so valuable. We are all in this together, and know it sounds, a bit. Oh God, I've forgotten. I'm lost for words, but it can sound a bit soppy, but I do mean it. We are all in this together, and we do need to watch out for each other as neighbours and as a community, which is what Waiheke does really well. Thank you for your support. Please bear with us as we go through this. If you've got any questions, please respectfully talk to your teacher about it. We are obviously making these changes, and there is that teething and learning that goes along with it. Thank you so much for listening. All the best, and we'll see you next week for learning, 8:30 sharp, Monday morning for years 1 to 4, and then 9 o'clock for years 5 to 8. We'll see you then.